Welcome to Pluto Unleashed, Pluto out of bounds, Pluto people, power, no power over people. And in some area of your life, as Pluto on August the 29th through to November 23rd, 2025, enters his south declination and unleashes himself from the sun, you are also unleashing yourself. There is just something going on in your world, in your life, where during that window of time, that approximate 86-day period, you are going to have a newfound freedom. And it's going to be an energy that's with us until 2035, individually and collectively. But we see these micro peaks every single fall between August and about November, December until 2035. And this is changing the face of the world. The reality you know is no longer going to be here. The only time we've experienced this in recent memory, when we have this Pluto sliding out of 23 degrees in 16 minutes of the sun's band of action. It's kind of like the channel in which planets are connected to this tether of the sun. This is the changing of Pluto to no longer need to be on a leash. And when he goes to the south declination, we saw that during the American Revolution and the French Revolution. It is where we revolt against power over us and structures that control us, and where collectively and individually we have a mass awakening of consciousness. We can use the words redemption. We can get out of our lessons about victim and power struggles, like I'm the victim of someone else's story. They're a perpetrator, I'm the victim. We can unbind from that storyline. Right now, the world feels victimized, or certain countries feel victimized, especially when it comes to power structures that are old and were formed when Pluto was in his out of bounds north declination, where he creates tyranny and terror. And when did he create tyranny and terror? Well, he certainly did it during the reign of King Louis, French Revolution, French King 1687 to 1710, notorious French king of tyranny and reign of terror. But he also did the same journey in 1938 to 53. Pluto went north of the ecliptic. He went out of bounds in the north, and that's where Pluto is acting like the demagogue, where Pluto is acting like the dictatorial, tyrannical type of energy. We saw the rise of Stalin, and we saw the rise of Hitler, and we saw the rise of Mussolini during that cycle. We also saw the energy of Hiroshima, how terrifically terrifying is that, and Nagasaki. We saw the formation of institutions like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. Well, yes, they rebuilt after the war, but they also tethered nations to their agenda. Go read Confessions of an Economic Hitman. That is a book that tells you about what those institutions are truly and really about. And finally, you might want to consider that the CIA and the NSA, those stealthy organizations, were formed in 1947. In that 1938 to 1953 window of time, those two three-letter agencies were created during the time 46 to 47, 45 to 47, where the declination of Pluto out of bounds on the north declination, untethered from the sun, was at its most extreme. We also saw when this untethered Pluto in the north declination of terror was also connected to 1948. And in 1948, there was the Nakba. The Nakba is the displacement of 750,000 Palestinian indigenous peoples from their land, because there never really was a land without a people and a people without a land, guys. There were people living there, and the nation that displaced them, the letter I, I'm not going to say it here because the algorithms, basically took over their villages, slaughtered people, renamed them in a new language, and displaced those people to other countries and to the edges of the borders of the new nation that were formed. So in this sense, we can say that that story of the Nakba and the displacement of people, the terror that happened to the families and now the descendants of those people in Gaza, is a story that Pluto brought on by his north node declination slash out of bounds period of 1938 to 1953. And if you want to go digging through the archives of multiple countries and what horrors were happening in 1938 to 53, you'll find them, okay? You'll find them somewhere in there. Like there's a lot in my own country of Canada where Indigenous peoples were put into forced schools and they were made to go off and deculture from their family, and kids died under those circumstances to some degree. So we've had horrors in all of our countries. It's not just one or another. And so with Pluto in the south, I'm going to talk about your sign. This is about you and where you have newfound power. But I want to say, with Pluto going into the south declination August the 29th to November 23rd, this is a period of time where you can express a new freedom from something that has shackled you. And that will be allowed in the Aquarius whole sign house of your chart. Do not use Placidus today. It will confuse you. And we're talking about Aquarius ruled by the traditional ruler, Saturn, not Uranus. Although if you want to add Uranus to the mix, you can do that. So in today's video for your sign, I'm going to talk about Aquarius, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, all of you guys, and what this means for you between the August 29th and November 23rd. Second of all, keywords: revolution, resistance, reformation, regeneration, renegade, power to the people, not power over the people, mass awakening of consciousness, redemption, and getting rid of lessons and power that relieve us of a victim mentality. Is empowering you to find your authentic power and the authentic expression of your power. Does that make sense? Like, you know, it's not very empowering to blame other people because it takes the responsibility to respond out of your control. As Pluto will be in his super powered form of south, out of bounds, unleashed energy, you can do new things. You can try something different. You can remove yourself from feeling oppressed and contained by power over you and authentically find the power within you. When we're in a birth process, in the mother's canal, the canal of the mother, the birth canal, the contractions are Saturnian, but the downward urge to push that baby out is Plutonian. And the death and rebirth experience, Saturn is the lord of time and karma, but also death, like the Grim Reaper. And Pluto is the regeneration that follows a death. It is the rising of a phoenix. There's so much potency here for each of us. I'm excited to be alive here. Here's something to consider. Okay, just consider this. Do you have planets between like roughly 1 degree, I'll go 0 degrees of Aquarius to 18 degrees of Aquarius? Okay, that matters. Or is your sun, moon, or rising like mine, my rising there? Because that is where Pluto will continually go back and forth out of bounds every fall, more or less, late summer into the early winter or fall. He'll continually do that between now and 2035. And those planets in those degrees of Aquarius, 0 to 18, your sun there, your moon, your rising, are going to be incredibly liberated and deeply impacted. I'm going to show you a chart. This is my 3rd time recording this because I got my new computer, and it was a really crazy ass difficult time to get this to work. And I've got a better camera, but it's doing weird things like moving with me and stuff. So bear with me if you don't mind. Hopefully it doesn't look too weird. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to my downloads and I want to show you a screenshot that you can take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of this if you don't mind. It might help. Okay. It might be kind of small, but I'm hoping not too bad. I want you to have this handy. I'm very much a teaching astrologer. I think I'm sharing. I hope I'm sharing. Let's share. And I want you to do a screenshot of that, okay? It looks small to me, as best I can do. That is when you're going to have every year, like August 12th, 2026, you know, through to December 10th, Pluto will go 120 days out of bounds in the south declination, right? August 3rd, 2027 to December 21st, 2027, 140 days. Right? South declination out of bounds. And you can see this story continuing all the way through until 2035. So this is for you. Hopefully, I don't know if I can do much better with this. It says annotate. That's not what I want. Doesn't seem to give me a make it larger button. And it's because I've got, oh, there it is. All right. Praise the Lord. So take a screenshot of that if it helps. You navigate the years through to 2035, right? It ends in November of 2035. What a liberating time to be alive. I don't think we're going to see much looking the same, okay, as it has been. We're going to see paradigm shifts. The founding of the United States and the overthrow of the French monarchy, these were paradigm shifts for governance. And am I saying it was a great experiment over time? No, everything falls apart over time. And I would say that having the North Node, having Pluto in the North declination out of bounds, 1938 to 1953, epicenter during the World War II into the late 40s, was where the whole experiment was pulled and tugged in the complete other direction towards tyranny and terror and zombie apocalypse energy, away from this more positive paradigm shifting energy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and talk about your sign. I'm going to be drawing from my power deck. Why? Because Pluto is about power. And so as we go through your sign, we're going to indicate where you have a new freedom and a new power to liberate yourself through the energy of rebellion, resistance, and regeneration. I also want to show you the chart, and I want to talk about 4 asteroids in the story before I do the all signs. Please bear with me. I think you'll learn something. Tisiphone is trining Pluto. Tisiphone is the punisher of murderers. She's one of the Furies, to punish those who wantonly kill and murder. Does anything come to mind where we might see that punishment take place for war crimes over the next decade? I do think so. We also, but it's really even between now and November 23rd. And we see as Pluto is going to go out of bounds on the 29th of August, that asteroid America is at 0 degrees of Leo directly across the way, indicating a massive change in the way America functions as a nation politically and geopolitically, internally and externally. We're going to see Hidalgo. It's a rebellion and revolutionary archetype in a sextile to Pluto on the 29th. We're also going to see Nemesis squaring Pluto on the 29th. Nemesis is divine retribution and divine justice. And Admete, unbound and unchained female who accompanied Hercules on his labors, which allows us to see how we can be unbound and unchained, but also how we can do the labor needed to revolutionize our own lives, and how the world can also revolutionize its current state of reign of terror. Now, I'm going to show you something. This is so cool. I'm going to show you the chart. Take a look at the sky, and then we'll do your sign. That's loud. Also, do not use Placidus, okay, or Campanus or Cope. Choose the whole sign house system, because it is going to allow for us to use Saturn as a time lord, and we'll be talking about what Saturn's up to in the sky. And we also want to know that you are using whole signs, because in our online astrology world, for general, all sign astrology, we must pretend we're using whole sign astrology. It's the only way to delineate it. Placidus is not very useful, just so you know. Once you go whole sign, you never go back. Ancient technique for using tools for timing your life. Speaking of which, did you know my Sky Reader class is starting this September 27th? So you can be your own astrologer, time your best life. 6 weeks of intensive study with me every week on a Saturday for an hour, weekly Zoom calls, Q&As. You keep the content forever. We have a private Facebook community with moderators. We have homework for you, but I'm not teaching you to become a professional astrologer. So you learn to read your chart, to sky read, to read your chart or your friends and family's charts, and begin to use some simple divine timing tools connected to ancient astrology. So if you want to learn those storylines of how to see your own life through the lens of trend lines and forecasting and predicting, after you learn how to read your natal chart, come aboard. Sky Reader is starting September 27th, and its enrollment is already open. There is an early bird discount code attached to my down below. If you don't put that code in, I don't have time to refund you guys. Use the code or don't use the code. But if you're using the 20% off code, it expires September 7th. Look below, find your code, find your enrollment link. I'll see you there. Okay, so let's get going. Let me show you what it is that we're looking at. I'm going to pull up the sky. Hopefully, I'm just trying to use this new software. It's just my new laptop. The software is the same. The laptops are really gnarly. All right, it's got a way better camera though. That's one of the reasons I did this, okay? So here we have the sky. It just happens to be a Gemini rising. And what do you see here, guys? You see Pluto. Where are you, Pluto? Right here, retrograding 1 degree of Aquarius, yet hitting on the 29th of August, hitting that out of bounds south declination where he has a huge amount of freedom. And as he gets into this kind of unleashed, untethered, exaggerated intensity through to November 23rd, he's going to try to deconstruct power systems over people. And in your own life, where you can undo your own victim mentality, if you have one, or experience newfound power that you didn't know you had. And as Pluto is here at Aquarius, he's opposite Asteroid America. That asteroid is very sensitive. I've used it in a lot of timing markers around elections, around politics, around wars. And so this is an asteroid. Every asteroid in this asteroid belt takes about 4 to 5 years to go around the heavens. And as Pluto goes out of bounds, Asteroid America with Venus are co-joined. Now, there can be something going on with a female who might be a leader or a performer. That's Leo energy, America, and an opposition. There's something going on where there's intensity here. I don't know who or what this female could be. We will see what goes on August 29th. Let's watch the sky together. And if you want to know, the story of Leo is connected strongly to Leonine countries. And so there could be stories from Iran, from Trump, from J.D. Vance, and maybe even Palestine or Gaza, because from one of the charts from Yasser Arafat and Camp David peace accords, it looks like we could have Palestinian energy connected to a Leo rising as well. So those stories are big in the storyline. Venus is the goddess of peace. She'll bring harmony and peace when she can. And so we could also be seeing America getting involved in a peace deal in the Middle East with power and intensity around that time. And I do world astrology. I will get to your sign, but if you want to know a bit about this for the world, and it wouldn't hurt to know, let's watch a few stories. Pluto, as he stations, well, as he goes out of bounds, he connects, so it kind of stamps the energy in through to November 23rd. We're feeling the vibes of these inceptional energies through to November 23rd. You'll see that Hidalgo is here. Hidalgo is an asteroid as well. It will bring to mind stories to do with this is the father of the Mexican independence guy, Miguel Hidalgo, one of the Centaur minor planets. It's standing on principle, speaking your mind, pushing others to speak their minds, watching what you say, and being motivated towards revolutionary actions. Well, guys, Sag rising is the United States of America. So we'll see a lot of rebellious energy going on amongst the American people, for sure, as this energy gets activated by Pluto. And America, third house energies where Pluto is the media. So you're going to see a lot of media stories breaking out of the narratives and breaking the mold and breaking the chains of silence and control and conformity and, of course, spin. So we're going to have some really shocking news stories coming out that are breaking away in America. And of course, we can see that in the context of the United States being the only country who still supports what Israel's doing, really. Okay. And hasn't agreed to support Palestine as an independent state. Where are they going to live? There's nothing left. It's rubble. This is like absolutely devastating. Then over here, you have this particular asteroid Tisiphone. I'm going to read her to you because this is going to be engaging energies for the world, but for you as well. She's one of the Greek Furies, and she's the one who punished, and the Furies punish those who committed crimes of murder. So it's about justice and paybacks for crimes against kinship and getting what you deserve, good or bad. So where have people been murderous and wantingly so? We will find punishments coming. Why? Because Pluto is trining Tisiphone. So there's something good that wants to happen here. That's what I want to leave you with. And maybe if somebody's done something wantonly negative in your life, many of us don't have people engaged in murderous stories in our own life, but you never know, there could be something there for you. And finally, the other energy is Admete, and this little dude over here, Nemesis. Nemesis is just the divine retribution, right? Divine justice. And in many ways, Nemesis is going to do God's justice on the situation. So she's a goddess of retribution for evil deeds, okay, and undeserved good fortune. And bottom line, there's something about evil deeds that we keep seeing, murderous stories, evil deeds being rectified as Pluto activates this energy. And Scorpio, which is secrecy and stealth, and all the three-letter agencies as well. Finally, over here is Admete. She is a Greek princess that accompanied Hercules on his labors to capture the golden girdle of Hippolyta. So her name actually means unbroken, unwedded unwedded and untamed. And so I love that energy because we can be untamed and we can break free of the ways we've done things with this Pluto out of bounds. It also says it helps us to learn how to deal with our hindrances and delays, to persevere, and understand that even though things are changing, they cannot be rushed. Things take time, right? Time is of the essence. I do want to say that with America opposite Pluto on Venus, a goddess of peace, or potentially a powerful female, there's also a trine to Saturn Neptune. So there's a lot going on at the end of August that bakes in a vibe that through till November 23rd, America's in the hot seat or on the center stage around these storylines. And, you know, asteroid Nemesis, divine retribution for ill deeds, evil deeds, is square asteroid America. And some fellow astrologers have been concerned that we might come into a time of retribution for the participation or complicity of America in what has been happening in the Middle East through groups that would like to strike back. So, you know, like 9/11 type events. Is that true? Maybe. There's a condition with Venus connected to 9/11 with her Jupiter conjunction on the dog star Sirius in her morning star phase, and that led to or correlated to 9/11. So this September is kind of ominous already. It has an ominosity, it's an ominous story. I'm just going to tell you that. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to do your sign. And when you're listening today, if you're listening for your sun sign, you're listening to matters of career and purpose. If you're listening to your moon sign, home and nest and safety and how you feel. And if you're listening to your rising sign, your ascendant is your avatar in the simulation. I just saw an astrologer on a podcast talk about your rising sign being your soul. It's not your soul, guys. I'm going to just tell you, I've been doing astrology long enough. Think about this way. Your soul lands in matter, and it has to incarnate and become a character. Leo risings, like JD Vance, a beard. I had a YouTube guy talking to me the other day, my manager, he's a new manager for me, and he has this big beard. He goes, "This is what my sign is." I'm thinking, you're a Leo rising. But he wanted me to guess his sun sign. Good luck with that, because that's your soul. People see you face forward on your rising, right? I'm Aquarius. I'm Spock-like and geeky and scientist and nerdy, and I'm concerned with humanity, and I don't like people, whatever. But that's not you. That your light of your sun is the soul. It is the essence of your divine spark that shines through the body that is the ascendant, because you come into life, you take your first breath, that defines your ascendant. It is not your soul. It is a container for your soul and the expression of your soul in life. Hopefully we all arrive at a point where our solar true essence shines through the character, right? That's the whole point of it. So that's your rising sign. If you're listening today, your rising sign will likely be very telling. Often we're circumstantially buffeted around in the game of life, God's divine play or Leela, because our character is having a story happen to it. However, if you're listening for your sun sign, it's your deepest essence. And as we get older, or first 7 years of our life and after the age of 44, I'll explain that another day, we begin to act more like our sun sign. So I'm an Aries sun, and I'm more like my Aries sun. I'm 63. The older I get, okay? All right. Good lighting, a little bit of makeup. All right, let's go ahead. Let's do your sign. This is not a long video, but it's instructive to tell you where a new power is coming. I'll draw a card for you too. And where you have new freedom and where you're unbinding from any place in your life where you felt someone had, some situation had, some person, something had power over you, right? You're claiming your own power here. And you are not a victim, okay? Let's get that right. If you think you're a victim, you're not a victim. We get confused. It's easy to feel like a victim. I felt like a victim, you know? I can tell you guys a story on the outro. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story in the outro about where I could have been a victim, and I immediately liberated myself from victimhood. And this is when my mom died. She was hit by a car. I want to explain that story to you at the outro. If you want to know about that, I'll leave it till the end. Now, let's start off with Aries, sun, moon, and rising. You know, I probably should start with Aquarius, but it's better for the live premieres if I'm starting in zodiacal order. So Aries, I have a sun with you guys, sun, moon, and rising. Here we go. Let's keep the story very simple. Pluto, between August 29th and November 23rd, is giving a newfound freedom where you're unshackled, untethered, and unbound from the hold that friends had on you. What friends, what friendship circles, what groups of belonging were in a way suppressing you. Now, you could say you're a victim of also your elder sibling, one above you, or those friends and allies and benefactors who really weren't so helpful because in some way they were dominant over you or they were lording some sense of power or control over you. If you have that or have had that story, this is going to free you from it for the very first time in your life. But here's another thing about that 11th house. It's the gains of the 10th. And that's your profits from your career. And have you been like shackled or bound to those profits? I'll tell you my story. It's a gilded cage, right? You work hard, you make money. The algorithm says yes, the ad revenue comes into a significant amount. And all of a sudden it is a treadmill, right? The gilded cage of success. So for some Aries, you're going to look at where your own profitability has become a chain and you need to untether from it. And you will do so successfully between now and November 23rd. And more so over the course of course, until 2035. Also, I hope that wind isn't going to make a sound. Let me close the door. I mean, because there's wind blowing. Hang in. I hope that wasn't doing it already. From my window that's open. Yeah. Sorry, guys, I have to open my window with a stick because my desk is too far away from the window. So you're looking at me working the angles here. Okay, that's a little bit better on the wind with a stick. Anyway, I want to say the third thing about your 11th house where you're free from the victimhood stories and you're untethered, unshackled, and free and newfound power is here. This is your hopes and long-range goals and wishes. Now, there's a story here that I'm going to do in another video where our true personal power is in Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius and Pisces in an esoteric Alan Leo way is where we have freedom of personal agency and we're untethered from the shackles of fate. Okay, the freedom of choice. So there is a lot to say about what you want to choose here when it comes to matters of your goals and your dreams and your aspirations in life. Maybe you didn't realize that you had been bound by something, some limitation on what was possible, some idea, thought, or vision that you realize now coming off of this freedom energy that it was really a chain, right? You're now unchained from that. And if you want to be a renegade and a rebel and do something different, reformation to reform your earnings, you can do something wildly radical, completely rebellious and off the charts in the way you want to earn money in your career. But remember, it's where you felt bound or chained that you're unbound and you're free and you're untethered here now. I do want to mention, I'm not going to cover every asteroid, of course, it would be a lot of work, but I will mention a couple of asteroids for every sign, particularly Hidalgo, because he sextiles Pluto. And it's sort of like, okay, I'm going to go along with this plan. I am going to find a kind of new freedom to be my own rebel and revolutionary in the 9th house. And the 9th house is book publishing, foreign lands, teaching, traveling. It's energy of one's dharma, one's truest purpose. You're really looking at activating that. And if you want this Pluto to do some difference in your earnings, you have to really anchor in to what Admete says, the untethered feminine, the unbound, untamed feminine in the earnings house. You can do it, but it will take time, but you can be that long companion to Hercules on his missions, to get what is needed to persevere, to reform the way you earn money and look at it in the long game. I'm not going to talk about Saturn, Pluto. I'm not talking about this triangle. That's a whole other story. I covered that in other videos. I'll cover it more. I just want you to get the simplicity of Pluto, the beauty and simplicity of what Pluto is trying to accomplish. In your 7th house, right over here, this is Tisiphone. Well, I'm not going to use that asteroid for individuals because none of us have the fates and furies out to get redemption for murderers and evil deeds and all of that. So we'll keep that out of that. That's a collective story if you ask me. All right. So I'm going to draw a card for your story. And we're going to draw from the power deck because doesn't that make sense? And I'm going to ask, what is the story that you're able to use for your newfound unchained power? Like, what do you got going here, guys? Let's take a look. I've got the cards. Force. I love this, you know, Strength versus Force, that Power versus Force, that book years ago. There's a picture. I'll read it to you. Okay. Wild horses. I just went to the Yukon where there were wild horse droppings everywhere when I was out hiking there. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to read it to you. It's the north. This is like the four directions of the medicine wheel. For those of you who are shamanic, this is the north. And the keywords are force lives in your will and comes from your intent. Well, I said Aquarius is where we have free will, ostensibly, once we've moved into a newer power within ourselves. Life is a process of pulling back your bow and aiming your arrow. That's Sagittarius. That's exactly where Hidalgo wants you to have revolutionary dharmic power and shooting the arrow. The degree and quality of the force with which you choose your target, dear Aquarians, and shoot. The degree and quality of the force with which you choose your target. So you have to aim at something and shoot, determine your power and determine your success. So pull the drawstring all the way back, right? Force is built through your integrity of purpose. Purpose is where Hidalgo is sextiling in your ninth house. Your physical tuning, your balance of spirit and mind. By naming your act of power, you create force. Follow your innermost passions, your innermost passions in life. Empower your will and your strength of force by manifesting your secret dreams. This is perfect because you have these wistful wishes and dreams in the 11th house, and you have the Dharma and purpose where Mercury and Hidalgo flow to Pluto. In fact, for all signs, I'm really going to focus on that beautiful sextile. So hopefully that's useful for you. Let's go ahead. Let's do one more sign. So the next sign we'll be doing is Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I introduced the beginning by saying, listen to your rising sign for most circumstantial change, but also the Sun sign can connect you to career and purpose, and the Moon to your home life. So every time the eclipses hit my Moon, I move my home, right? Simple as that. So we're moving on to Taurus. Sorry, guys, let's move you forward. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We're going to keep a very sweet and simple story here. We're going to talk, Taurians, about Pluto in the house of career, visible action in the world, high noon. This is where you want to have ambitions and achievements. It's where you want to have a career. It's where you want to be of service. It's the natural Capricorn house of the Aries rising zodiac. And in this regard, you're going to have a massive transformation over the next, 2044. But this is Pluto out of bounds for the first time in our lifetimes. First in a lifetime, Pluto out of bounds. Pluto out of bounds first in a lifetime, Pluto out of bounds in the south declination. With Pluto here, you have a new freedom to unchain yourself from not just a career path or a work path or public reputation or social standing path that you've had that maybe is now feeling like you're trapped, but you're untethering from your father lessons, the father influence in your childhood or in your life. You're untethering from visible authority figures that have power over you in your life, any kind of authority figure. And this is really important because you have a Venus opposition to the Pluto turning point of out of bounds on August 29th through November 23rd in your fourth house of home and childhood matters. And I will tell you, Taurus, as most of you, you're really learning to untether from your childhood stories. Even as it's a very practical story of finding a new sense of power, releasing your victim consciousness regarding situations of work, job, reputation, and career. And I mean all of that. Sometimes our reputations are not just like, oh, she's a really good YouTuber or she's lousy at it. It's our social standing. It's the form. We fill it out in a form field. It's a house of weddings. I'm married. It's a house of funerals. I'm a widow. And these social standing qualities of our life that everyone witnesses us go through, these rites of passage that are visible to the world. I'm married, I'm divorced, I'm widowed, I'm single. These are 10th house stories. So you're going to get out of a chain of control of some circumstances that you've had going on here. And some of that could be just since Pluto entered Aquarius. Okay. In 2023, he tiptoed in. So there's been in and out here. And now you're ready for a new kind of freedom. It's like you're unhooking from something that has held you back because you've seen yourself as powerless in your career, reputation, social standing stories. But you're not a victim. And if you're blaming others for what's happened in your life, or you think that they have power over you, then you are absolutely going to struggle. But this is what Pluto's trying to show you. You are free. And it is very important that Pluto flows to Hidalgo. This is like literally a revolutionary Mexican story where you need to be speaking your mind, speaking your truth, but being willing to revolt. And it is about your karma. It is about your chunks of money that you may get through inheritances or spousal separation or divorce. It is about money that is shared with others, like loans, banks, mortgages, and credit cards, monies that tether you, debts. Maybe this is what is going to profoundly change at this time. We do have a nice little flow here, I will mention, but we won't talk about that. So I don't want to put Tisiphone in. I can't see how the Furies who punish murderers is going to help us. So just call that a collective story. Now, if you think about Pluto on the top of the sky, and he does talk to Uranus for shocks and surprises, and I'm not going to labor that story too much, but there is a kind of sense of really pushing through your boundaries around your self-esteem, around your how you feel about what you're worth and worthy of getting in life, especially net worth, especially financial worth. So there's a shift of perspective. You're more powerful and you're more electrically and surprisingly capable of being in a career path or purpose, even if you're retired, right? And you feel that you're in charge. No one's telling you what you could or should do. And you're also electrifying the way that you create financial wellness because of this new freedom and liberation of Pluto out of bounds, August 29th to November 23rd, with the understanding that this occurs and will not occur again for thousands of years. This occurs all the way through to 2035. Wow, what a time you're going through in your career, Taurus. I got a card for you. Every single sign is getting a reading, and it's strength. Now I have to laugh. It's also the North. That's the second card that's North on the medicine wheel. Here's your beautiful picture. Sorry. Come on, camera. It's a Buddha meditating in the woods with a halo. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, trust me on that. And I'm going to read this card, number 27, to you. I don't know, guys. This is my new MacBook Pro. Is there a setting that I can change it? This is always making me dizzy looking at myself. The person who upsets you the most in life is one of your best teachers. Yes, I said, what is it? A father figure? Is it a boss, an authority figure? Who is lording something over you in the 10th house? If that, or just your public reputation, are you tied to what people think about you? Stop already. If that person can get inside your head, turn you around and confuse you, you know that you still don't understand what you are doing. You need more strength. Learn by seeing that your life is a teaching, like the red lotus healing its pain in the inner solitude, gain strength from entering your wounds and learning from them. And you have Venus in the house of childhood opposite Pluto at this onset. So look to your childhood wounds that hold you back from ambition, success, and recognition in your 10th house. The magician remembers the trail and takes a different one, even if it's more difficult. In this way, you create your own path as you build from it. Okay, create your own path as you build from it. Thank you for listening, Taurus. Let's move on to the next sign. Righty, let's go into Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Pluto out of bounds, first time since the American Revolution in the South declination. So it is first in a lifetime. We're going to experience the first taste of it, August 23rd to November 23rd. This is going to August 29th to November 23rd, but this will keep repeating every fall, more or less, through until 2035. Pluto is getting free is getting untethered in your ninth house of God. One, have you felt oppressed, controlled, stuck, chained in something that connects you to your, I don't know, I'd say connects you to your uh, spiritual outlook on life, your philosophy of life. You know, maybe you've had something that didn't really work for you, like you got a religion, you had to follow the dictates of the church or the cult that you belong to, and you got to free yourself from that. There's also an energy of the ninth house where it's your dharma, it's your purpose, it's your real meaning in your life and your true North Star. And maybe you felt like, especially since Pluto entered here, right, in 2023, you felt like you really weren't able to get out from underneath a system of beliefs belong to the ninth house, I believe, that have held you back. Now, it can be very much a mindset story. I have a progressed Gemini sun, and I literally bumped into a book at a fair yesterday, and it's Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich guy, but it's his other book that he wrote after it. And I'm like, really? A mindset book for me? But I'm going to read it because it came to me synchronistically. So where mindset wise have you been blocked and been the victim of your own mindset? And how can you rise above that and change your mindset at this time? And this is also connected to Hidalgo. How can you change your mindset about purpose and meaning in your life as you wish to also have a revolutionary approach to long-term committed love, relationships, as well as how you target or impact your marketplace, your audience, your fans, and your clients? As Hidalgo says, speak your mind, which I do, unfortunately, speak your mind, but rebel. Is freedom is at stake. In terms of freedom for you, is freedom to be on purpose and to be in alignment with your purpose and not being encumbered by thoughts or beliefs that hold you back. And come on, you are already with Uranus and Gemini looking to break free and break through of any shackles that hold you back as you become uniquely and originally inventively you. So there's something going on where old forms of structures aren't working for you anyway, and Pluto is helping you get out from underneath the beliefs that have tethered you. On a practical note, Pluto's out of bounds in the house of teaching, foreign lands and shores, book publishing, and some of those may have freedom areas that you have an incredible amount of surge towards in the next 86 days from the 29th onward. And I would suggest, because you have that Mercury with Venus in the opposite house, there could be some really amazing travel opportunities between August 29th and November 31st. I mean, November 23rd, either local or abroad. And if you get the opportunity arising, the answer is yes, because they will bring that freedom and that new mindset that you're really looking for. So I've got the cards here for you. And here we go, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Courage. This is the third North card in a shuffled deck. Why do I think that's important? Well, I did another Chironic healing deck draw a while ago, and everyone got red for the South, right? The North seems to be about what's going on with the Plutonian energy. Can you guys see that? It's two fish swimming in a forest that doesn't look undersea. That's weird. Yeah, can you see that? Anyway, I'll work on my relationship to my camera. Try again. There. There we go. Yay. Okay, so let me read it to you. Okay. Oh my God, my camera keeps going all over the place. Courage, North, white. Action takes courage. We often feel like a fish out of water, separate and different from the world around us, but fish out of water can learn to swim in a new air of consciousness and with a new purpose in life. Purpose is where Pluto is in the ninth house of meaning and purpose. Perhaps it is identification with objects and clinging to addictions that keeps you feeling separate from the source of your power. Wine, for me. Perhaps it is not only a dependence on drugs, sex, or alcohol, but also addictions like fear of failure, the need for approval, or the fear of desertion. Discover your own power and meaning by having the courage to give up your addictions and then live your life with courage and with power. So Those can be mental addictions, as I mentioned, right? So don't think of them as just physical addictions. We can be addicted to belief structures that seem like they worked for a time, right? But they no longer do. Things that you thought were true because you believed they were, right? Created a straitjacket effect. That's my humble thought on that. Okay. But from your Gemini storyline, the Taurus part of your chart is your addictions, right? Back there. So be careful for your own self undoing as well. That's what you're trying to also unshackle from, how you undo yourself. And that makes sense because Pluto squares the house of self undoing, the Taurus part of the sky. All right, let's go back and bring us to the next sign. Is it? I'm getting dizzy here as this thing is moving all over the place. And I would just say in Taurus, we have Admete, right? So let me go back to you guys for a minute. Admete in Taurus, she's the unbound, unchained, free feminine energy, but everything takes time. You have to persevere. Nothing happens overnight. When it comes to undoing yourself, undoing, all right, patience is the process. What is that? There's a couple of good old AA sayings like that, Persistence, not perfection, maybe, but that's not it. Okay. Now we're moving into the next sign. And my partner said, people are going to think you're an alcoholic because you always talk about drinking wine. I'm not an alcoholic. I have an off button. I've never missed a day at work. I've never destroyed a relationship. I don't get drunk. I just like the wine habit. Okay. I'm a gray zone drinker. Okay. In case you guys have concerns for me. All right. So here we have Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. First of all, Pluto is going to be moving into on the 29th of August through to November, right? All the way through till November 23rd for the first in a lifetime, unshackled, unchained, unbound, and untethered in your 8th house. It is the most karmatic house of the zodiac, and Saturn is the ruler of that karma. And he's up in your 10th house. And there's a lot going on here where you want to be free, unshackled, untethered, and unbound from the ways in which you are karmatically stuck. When it comes maybe to surrender, or I know surrender is not right, when it comes to allowing for a karmatic expression of right purpose through career. And that's a story that Saturn and Chiron are pointing us to. And since Saturn is a traditional ruler of Pluto, I would advise you to really look carefully at your career and your work you do in this world. If you are retired, then what are you doing in retirement? Because Pluto wants to unchain you from karmic patterns that keep you from meaningful career expression and purpose. And no matter what age you are, whether you've lived through a career or you're just starting out, please be noteful that this is a first in a lifetime freedom, redemption, revolution, regeneration energy around that. Pluto is also in a profound flow to Hidalgo in the house of work. And it really does make me think you got to really look at the work and career space and go, wow, am I ever gearing up for amazing change here? This is like a mini grand trine here, where you are going to speak your mind and you're going to give yourself a revolutionary permission to do what you really want to do in that work, in that career. And in the 8th house, you also could be indicating a kind of freedom, a kind of revolutionary approach to money. Because the money of the 8th house, and she's opposite Venus in the house of possessions and earnings, the 8th house monies are the monies that you rely on because you have an inheritance. It's money because you have spousal support. It's money because you had some chunk of it come to you. And sometimes we get like reliant on those monies. It's easier to be connected to financial success without having to make money. It's just sitting there, right? You can live off of it. I mean, there's something about also reframing your relationship to the power that money has over you. Not just money itself, but the power that money has over you, that wealth and resources have over you. Self-esteem and the esteem of others, that's the axis of 2 and 8. Do you care too much what people think about you? Is the esteem of others more important than how you esteem yourself? That's a revolutionary energy for you as well, to get out from underneath being victimized by other people's opinions of you. Houses 8 and 2 will bring that to your attention. Now, there could be some issues here. Look at Admete. Is that Admete? no, Nemesis, divine retribution, and karma, connect divine justice and karma, Nemesis connected to money, connected to a child. Now, it's just very interesting because that's only if you have an adult child. It's not about your kid's piggy bank, right? But look for those unfurling of I'm a victim of my lover or I'm a victim of my child's financial situation. You're not a victim of that. Admete is saying you, not Admete, Nemesis is karmic and divine justice scales are spinning here. It's not about your story. It's bigger than you. Let it go. And do I want to bring anything else in here? You know, Admete says unbound, unchained, free, powerful, perseverant, feminine energy in the earnings house. So it looks like if you could reorient towards breaking the chains of karmatic and childhood stories that have held you back from your true career path. That's very big story here for some of you as well. Now I'm going to draw a card for you out of my Power Deck guidebook, and here we go. Let's see if we get another north. Oh, we have finally a west. Everybody has been in the north. You have this beautiful card. It's called Imagination. It's Imagination. It's from the west. Other people so far I've gotten in the north on the medicine wheel. Color is black. So when I look at imagination, I think of Neptune with Saturn. Neptune's the god of imagination in your 10th house in a sextile to this story. That's important for you because Neptune's imaginal abilities, he's retrograde, so he's not delusional anymore. Use your visualizations, your vision board, your imagination, your inner life to also imagine what kind of career that you really want to have. Exploring the wilderness of your own soul through contemplation brings you to the altar of your imagination. To have a circle of imagination in your being, walk the untamed, wild, instinctual side of your nature. Well, Pluto is very much wild, instinctual as well. All the time knowing its power. Like a woman aware of her pregnancy as she moves through the round of daily tasks, you need to focus not on the unborn life in order for its nature to continue to grow. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I think that right. I said that right. Like a woman aware of her pregnancy, as she moves through her round of daily tasks, you need not focus on the unborn life in order for its nature to continue to grow. Always remember that inspiration often comes after reflection, after the seed of creativity is planted. Once you begin your creative work, the energy of the universe comes to you and imagination flows. Venus is very creatrix and she's in your earnings and resources house in Leo with Mercury as Pluto goes out of bounds. So like there's a lot of a way I kind of feel like you could really wealth up here if you can unhook from that which has bound you financially and in expression of career as well. And is there anything else I'd like to say to you guys? Oh, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I think that's everything. Could call it financial freedom through unwinding old patterns and opening your imagination to what is possible. Hey, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Well, for goodness gracious, Pluto is moving through Aquarius first in a lifetime. You know, he's been in Aquarius in and out since 2023. But first in a lifetime, Pluto is going to be untethered in your marriage house. Unbound, South Node declination, power to the people. There's something here that asks you to find a newfound reformation, regeneration, and renewal, if not outright freedom from or in a marriage situation. But it goes beyond an individual, although you may have felt constricted and constrained by a powerful other, for this is Pluto in the I-thou axis. So your marriage partner, your business partner, or significant dominating force of some other person that you feel pinned by, and you might blame them and you might feel a bit of a victim mentality, some of you. But beyond an individual, Pluto here is about the meaning of relating to others, and where relating to others in relational ways has been a burden. You felt victimized, maybe misunderstood, and how you relate to relationship, really, like where is your power when you are with another? There's an expression in psychology in a long-term committed love relationship, you're responsible for 100% of your 50%. right? Not going over to the other person's side of the fence and taking charge and controlling them, or not being the wounded bird and not taking charge of your 100 of your 50. So there's something called interdependence, and maybe Pluto is going to transform your relationship to codependence versus independence. So you can find interdependent love. Something healthy wants to happen, but you have to unchain from the old way first. And that's what Pluto will do. He'll unbind you from the old way of relating to others and being dominated or controlled or powered over by other people in your life. Ever since Pluto entered here, 2023, you might have felt some of this dynamic to be true. And Pluto is, of course, talking in a flow towards Saturn, who dominates Pluto, right? Pluto's under his dominion. Saturn might indicate you would like to make some changes in your relationship legally. And some of you might be looking at getting out from underneath a long-term relationship by legally petitioning for separation or divorce. And that would not be outside the bounds of this story. Having Pluto talk to Hidalgo, there's a little bit of a beautiful rebellion and freedom and revolutionary energy to speak your mind to your children, with your romantic lover, and claim some power there as well. You might be revolutionizing your relationship to sexuality, romantic love, and commitment, and finding new ways to do that where you don't feel like you have been controlled, dominated, or victimized by those stories. And I don't think that Venus is doing you much harm. She's giving you a strong sense of self-love, valuing yourself right now as she looks over at Pluto and works with this transformation. Let's grab a card for you right now. And I have the card Feminine. Now it makes me laugh because another West, I had a bunch of people getting the white, which is the North on the medicine wheel. You're the second West I've had. 13 is a lunation. There are 13 lunations in a year. It's not an evil, bad number. It's a divine feminine number. And Venus is in your sign. The goddess is in Leo. So Leo sun, your career, Leo moon, your home life. Leo rising is definitely connected to matters to do with anything in your life, but your identity, your personhood, and your well-being physically. I think that you could be experiencing that energy very positively as the inner feminine is powered up right now. With Mercury and Leo, you can speak from your inner feminine. When someone wrote the book Nonviolent Communication, they talk about use I statements like, you made me angry, you're stupid, you're dumb. I feel, I feel, I am experiencing, things. You don't talk about the other, use the I statement. So that's a feminine approach to communication. I do feel like you are very divinely feminine right now. So let's take a look at the picture. That's the moon under the roots of trees. How beautiful. And I think these are butterflies as well. There we go. And it says, the world is bereft of feminine consciousness. To bring Mother Earth back into balance, we must bring back our awareness of her language. Awareness of her, period. Language is a barrier between us, but woman has always communed with a woman in unspoken language. Her roots are entwined with the essence of Mother Earth, for she too is feminine. Woman is the keeper of the planet and must not let her energy be uprooted by the male systems within man or woman. I'm going to sneeze. Give me a minute. We are all in need of world harmony. Mother Earth has been misunderstood, but she is a universal link. She is the womb for all that lives. Feminine consciousness is the energy that embodies the wisdom you need at this moment. Feminine consciousness is what you need at this moment. Of course you do. You got dominating, controlling Pluto across the way and leaning into the feminine awareness of how to handle that marriage partner, that business partner, that client, that troll, that audience member. I forgot to say troll. These are Pluto. Pluto's unchaining the whole significant relating house. So you can find new ways of relating. And it could also help unchain your marriage partner, if you have one, to be more free, to be more rebellious, to find new ways in their life to express their power and themselves as well. Again, the key is the feminine energy. We're going to go ahead and do the next sign. And the next sign here is going to be After Leo, of course, the pristine Virgos of the virginal world and the ones who are of the deepest service to the collective. Hello, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, it's a first in a lifetime. Pluto out of bounds, August 29th to November 23rd in your workhouse. Yeah, just call it work, service, duty, dedication, and devotion. That's what you do in the sixth house. We have jobs here, but it's going to help transform your relationship to service, to work, to being of a dutiful and devotional help to others. And because Pluto is here, it also can transform your relationship to sickness. This is a house of sickness in the ancient world. Saturn rules that Pluto and says unbinding yourself from patterns of work relationships, and sickness that come from karmic and deeply karmatic past life stories. End of story. And you don't have to think this one through. This isn't something you can do by thinking it through unless you're seeing a therapist or having a past life regression. This is just going to spontaneously happen. You're breaking the chains of karmatic sicknesses and karmatic chains that bind you into dissatisfaction in work, being a victim of your job, of the boss, of the employment structure, of the day-to-day, of the 40-hour work week, whatever is bothering you. Go read the 4-hour work week, right? Like, what's the guy who wrote the book, Ferris? Somebody Ferris? The 4-hour work week, maybe go read that book. Maybe you have been a slave to your work. Now, I'm going to say slave because this is called the house of slavery in the ancient tradition. We have a siren here, and we're talking about the house of sickness. You do not need to be ill in order to be free. You know how I can't go to work today, I'm sick. I can't go to school today, I'm sick. Careful for that pattern here. Now, Pluto will give you a newfound freedom. You'll be outside the victim story. You'll feel some new empowerment here. He is flowing to Uranus for shocking, surprising, revolutionary, unexpected change in the work, career space. No doubt about it. And he talks to revolutionary Hidalgo in your fourth house of your home and childhood. First of all, there could be a revolutionary change of career and home off of this. On a very practical level, between now and November 23rd, a bunch of you are changing your home or homeland. But if you do move your home, buy a home, sell a home, rent a new home, and all are possible, and then you're doing so because it's connected to a new sense of purpose, a new sense of career, a new sense of how you want to relate to work. You're going to move close to work, far from work, get a new job that takes you to a new home. But deeper under the circumstantial stories that I'm describing to you, Pluto also is asking you to stop your self-undoings. Yes, Venus in the house of undoing yourself with Mercury. This often looks like addictions, about how you let your own self down. You could be your own worst enemy, sabotage your life. And Pluto is like, oh, forget that stuff. If you've been feeling like you can't get out from underneath a habit or an addiction, even especially since 2023 when Pluto entered your sixth house, this first in a lifetime unbound freedom that goes through to 2035, you get your first taste of it through to this November 21st. And especially over here, no, we don't want that one. We want, where'd she go? The unbound, untamed feminine Admete is trying to align you with purpose and dharma as she works with Pluto in the house of job and work. You're really wanting to be meaningful in your work. You don't want to just have a job. Obviously, that's true for many of us. Your card is repeating another person. That's the card of imagination from this power deck, okay, by Lynn Andrews. I'll put this in the description box. Imagination 14 is like the Temperance card. It's also West or Black. We're having North and West only lately. Exploring the wildness of your own soul through contemplation brings you to the altar of your imagination. To have a circle of imagination in your being, walk the untamed, wild, instinctual side of your nature, all the time knowing its power. Like a woman aware of her pregnancy as she moves through her round of daily tasks, you need not to focus on the unborn life in order for it to nurture and to grow. Always remember that inspiration comes after reflection, after the seed of creativity is planted. And once you begin your creative work, the energy of the universe comes to you and in imaginal flows. You know, Neptune rules imagination, and he is with Saturn, ruler of Pluto, in the house of sickness and work, and also the house of karma, asking you to really dive into your soul work here. This is where you can liberate yourself by using your imagination and reflections of yourself through the visions that you have about what you're capable of. I would vision board if I were you guys with this kind of chart and see if you can't come up with a new plan, you know? What kind of plan? A new plan for work, health, new plan for maybe where you want to live in relationship to work and career as well. Now, I'm going to just pause this recording while I get some water and I shall return. Okay. Oh my God. I'm getting dizzy. It's warm in here and my screen keeps changing. Let's go into the next side. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and come join me in Sky Reader. Love to see you guys in class on September 27th. All the information for signing up for class and the discount code is in the description box underneath the video. I will try my best to remember, maybe pin it to the top of my comments as well. So here we have Libra. Hey, Libra. First of all, Pluto's in Aquarius, and it's not too shabby, right? He'll be here till 2044, but he's out of bounds, first in a lifetime. So he's in your fifth house, and he got here, 2023, more or less. He's out of bounds. We haven't seen this kind of thing since the American Revolution. So get ready for a huge change in how you approach love, romance, sexuality, creativity, entrepreneurship, and you're free, you're unchained, you're untethered. Have you, however, felt somehow a victim of some lack of power when it comes to your creative, your artistic expression, your muse, your sexuality and romantic life, or even a kind of a victim of matters to do with how your children have treated you, right? Your grown children perhaps, or just the whole thing with children, feeling somehow a place of disempowerment. Now, Pluto here may be giving you a bad vibe since 2023, but not to worry. That's changing because he's going to be unleashed. He's unleashing himself from the tether of the sun, and he'll be in that condition August 29th to November 23rd, offering you a newfound sense of liberation from victimhood. And sometimes we even feel victimized in the fifth house because there's an innocence, wonder, awe, the spirit of childhood, the spirit of, play. And maybe since 2023, you felt none of it. Where is the fun, joy, innocence, wonder, and play? Where is it all gone? Now, there's a new way of getting back there, right? Pluto is going to do it differently here. It's going to find a new source of power for your inspiration, your enthusiasm, and your play. If you always relied on your children or your lover or your romantic life, or even just the output of your entrepreneurial and creative life to be a source of that joy, maybe there's a new way that you can find that power. Sorry, guys, I have my mic on medium for the background noise, but yeah, what can you do? I should put it on high next time. So I live next to a fire station and a few blocks from a hospital. Okay, we'll just let it go. I do love my apartment, other than that. Okay, so let me think about you here with me. Do you have a sense that you want to become more empowered when it comes to art, creativity, inspiration, and entrepreneurial chutzpah? Well, hey, Hidalgo says, start writing, start social media mediating, start marketing and selling, teaching and learning. These are ways you can empower up with freedom and rebellion, matters connected to the fifth house, third house axis. Also notice that in the sky, Saturn is the lord of what Pluto's up to, and he wants to give you liberation of romantic love, enthusiasm, inspiration through long-term committed love, through stories of committing over the long haul. So, the more you commit to that business partnership, that audience, that marketplace, that long-term partner in your life, the more you're going to experience a transformation and a regeneration in the fun, the vitality, and the romance. I would also notice that you could even potentially be disabusing yourself of illusions of that relationship. So you can see it for what it really is, but then also move into more power because you understand it, whatever that is, your business partner or your long-term love partner. And I think that Uranus is giving you some really exciting surprises. This is not too shabby if you're a writer, a creative, and an entrepreneur type, and you are involved in book publishing. Some major, lovely, out-of-bounds breakthroughs here. Ultimately, you might be looking for a situation to be financially, divinely justified, divine retribution for financial challenges, especially if you would call your financial challenges highly unfortunate. Then those could have some sort of turning around stories here as well. Unlucky financial stories. All right, so what I'm going to do is draw a card for you too, but I also want to mention one more thing. When Pluto is in the fifth house, your relationship to inspiration is being transformed. Because often we just get pleasures there, right? Give me another drink, give me another spa, give me another massage, whatever it is. These are transient, right? Deeper underneath the surface of the fifth house is what is authentically joyful. Where is your real bliss? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What gives your life vitality? Where is the life force? And Pluto is transforming your relationship to those things in a way that's completely unchained, untethered, and unleashed from the patterns that you've been working with there since 2023. And I've got a beautiful card for all the balance of Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and it's called Harmony. And it is of the West. So we've only had North and West cards drawn today. I find that fascinating because there are other sides of the medicine wheel. Can you see it? Oh gosh, yeah. Guys, it's really hard for me to get this camera to focus on the item at the foreground. All right, harmony, harmony, harmony. It's like a Zen temple with a globe and the Himalayas or something. Harmony, card number 20. Harmony. Now you are harmony. You are a Libra. You are a Libra, right? So you're trying to find the balance of your inner scales all this life long. Harmony lives in a lodge of balance, an equilibrium between the physical and spiritual aspects of your life. For there to be harmony, there must be balance. Imagine yourself as the hub of a sacred wheel standing in the center. This wheel must function every day of your life. And if you imagine that the south is your physical self, the west is your emotional self, and the north is your spiritual self, then the east and that the east is your mental self, we see that you stand in an ancient wheel of truth. Okay, so therefore the west, which this is your emotional self. Consider whether you spend as much time in the physical, which is the south, as you do in the spiritual, which is the north. Are they balanced? Are they balanced? Is your physical balanced with your spiritual? Are they in harmony? Reflect on whether you spend more time in your emotions, the west, than you do in your mind, the east. Thinking and feeling. Adjust your daily life by being aware of your actions and behavior patterns to incorporate equal effort in all directions so that your wheel will function in perfect harmony. Okay, let me just say one more thing about that for you before we go on. Libras strive for the balance and they very rarely find they get it. So the most common Libra imbalance is work life, work play. You guys work, 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 and then you don't have play, or you play, 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 and you don't have work. So keep that in mind. It is about balancing all the areas of your life. Jupiter's blessing you in your 10th house till next July. Career opportunities are coming up. But don't forget, Pluto's transforming your play, fun, and pleasure house. So find the balance between the things that you do to achieve and the place of fun, enjoyment, play, romance, love, and children. Yes, okay, that's what I got for you. Let's go on to the next sign. I would if I could. I've lost the picture of the screen. Okay, here we go. Whoa, whoa, this is gonna drive me nuts. I don't know if I like this feature. All right, making me dizzy. All righty, let's go into the next sign. We got to talk about this for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Sign Pluto unleashed, Pluto unbound, first time since the American and French Revolution. This is going to happen for till 2035 and not again for thousands of years. But here we have this small little window, August 29th, all the way through November 23rd, where he's definitely out of bounds in the south declination, and you are going to find a new sense of freedom and power as you are unleashed from your family of origin chains that bind you. I'm not kidding you. If anybody needs to do a good old therapeutic session about what mom and dad accidentally did to wound you, especially where you're holding power over your childhood to control you, you might have been noticing since 2023 that matters to do with childhood and family of origin have been very intense energies because Pluto entered your fourth house in 2023. The other energy here is your home and your home life and your nest. And Pluto's transforming your relationship to sanctuary, to home, to private life, to your time where you rest your head at the midnight hour. And that's going to transform. And if you've been feeling disempowered dominated or controlled by matters to do with domicile and where you live, whether it's the city, a country, or the actual house or apartment, that's changing. There's some kind of untethering, unbounded intensity till November 23rd. Certainly with Lord Saturn in the house of rental properties and debts, there could be, and Saturn up, Uranus up here, a massive sudden shift of perspective with financial matters connected to home, mortgage refinancing, selling home, buying home, renting a new home. And this is exciting. It feels very positive for you, okay? But on the other hand, right, we have Hidalgo. Where can you be a revolutionary in your money story? How can you earn money in a completely unfettered, free, and new way? How can you speak your truth and your mind in order to create new revenue in the house of voice and vocation and calling? And with, you know, Pluto in the fourth house, it has to do with your home life. I don't care. You know, you could go to work in a skyrise office. How you relate to your downtime? Do you go to bed at night? Do you rest? Do you work too hard at night and keep working past the, you know, the day of your 5 o'clock close if you have a day job? Something about your home life is transforming. Now, there is another story here, which would be inheritances. That can come from your family of origin, from an elder Saturnian figure, likely, you know, quite old, right? Like a grandparent or a very aging parent. And if that's the case, then there could be a liberation around the way you create money in your life, connected to a sudden, unexpected flash of money between now and November 29th, between August 29th and November 23rd. Just saying, on a very, but that gives you a new freedom. It gives you financial freedom right here, not to be tethered to something. Venus wants you to enjoy your work. She's opposite Pluto for transformation. Can you transform your life to enjoy and have pleasure in the work you do? Financial freedom and success as well. And do you have something buried in your past, your childhood, that's been holding you back? That could be a story. Or dispensation of legacy wealth coming to you from your upline. That could be showing up before Christmas in this kind of sky as well. This is Admete, the unbound, the unbound, untamed feminine energy, but perseverance. It also might ask you to really persevere, to continue in a relationship by transforming your relationship to yourself from your childhood, where you're maybe going to find more perseverant energy being available in new and refreshed ways between now and December 21st, or November 23rd, regarding committed relationships, long-term relationships. Let's draw a card for you, see what we get in the sky. Certainly, I think with Saturn, Lord of the Pluto, some of you, and Venus in the top of the sky, you really could be looking at a lovely new job opportunity, if not family fortunes coming your way. All right. So new opportunity for new kinds of earnings that feel far more free, especially if you're feeling burdened with work. I wouldn't doubt it with Saturn in Aries for quite a bit of time already, since May. So the card, you're the first card to break the pattern. The first card to break the pattern, because you've got red, which is the south. And that's really incredible because everyone else has gotten the west or the north, the white and the black. A lotus over a stream with flowers and hands of water. Okay, it is nurturing. It is the red. It is the 8th card. That makes sense, and I'll tell you why. First of all, as Pluto is going to break free of his problem on the 29th, he's also still reminding you he's in the house of the mother. The 4th house is the mother. Yes, it's categorically childhood, but it's the mother in particular. And then on the 30th, the moon is in your money house. So moon and money. By the way, if you don't know this, guys, if you have a real big problem with your moon, you have a big problem with your money. Moon and money are interconnected. So it's your mother relationship that helps you fortify money in your life. So here's a nurturing card for you. We can heal ourselves sometimes with assistance, sometimes without. Our energy or chakra system corresponds to the energy flow from the earth. If you listen and feel, Mother Earth will heal you as you heal her with the nurturing force of timeless give and take. Prayer enables you to power out of the mind and then place it in the hands of the earth and sky deities. Try to see through the mirage of social barriers that cloud the eyes of women and men the world over. Nurture your dreams. Nurture your dreams. Saturn, Neptune in the workhouse are to solidify your dreams. Pluto in the fourth house of childhood and mother to nurture your dreams. With a North Node in your fifth house, you're really here to follow your bliss. Okay, keep that in mind. It's traveling through your fifth house. Act in your dreams as you want to act. Find the guarded kivas and sacred places where you have hidden your heart and nurture your spirit. Okay. Well, the hidden places where you nurture your spirit and have hidden your heart are the fourth house. It's the midnight hour. It's what you're doing home alone, whether you're crying, creating, laughing, or playing. What you do to nurture your spirit in your home alone time is a critical importance to you. All right. Oh my goodness. Does this make anyone else dizzy? If you're dizzy because this thing's going back and forth, let me know in the comments. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. First thing, Sagittarius, is that you have Pluto for the first in a lifetime out of bounds self-declination in your third house. Last seen in the French American Revolution, you're revolutionizing your relationship to a sibling one younger, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors and neighborhood, childhood friends, but also to things to do with writing, communicating, marketing, selling, teaching, and learning, to name a few. If you're a Sagittarius and you are looking at how you felt in this part of the sky, your third house is 2023, where Pluto has been dominating the energy, you now get a new sense of freedom. The freedom here, the liberation, is because he has untethered himself from the sun and is going his own way. And so there may be a revolution in your relationship to your neighbors, to neighborhood, to your sibling one younger, siblings in general, extended family, but also to matters connected to your life when you were going through elementary and high school. And if anything happened in those areas of your life historically, there's a huge amount of power to remove yourself from the victim story. Are you a victim of the people of the third house? Do you make narratives about your nasty neighbor, your asshole sibling, or whatever? This is where you play the victim. You're no longer going to do that. You don't have to change the other person. You change your relationship to your story you have about them. You could have some sense of being victimized in the house of shorter distance travel. I know a lot of people didn't take the unnecessary protocol during the pandemic. And of course, they were victimized by travel restrictions. So if you had any of that story, you're about to unbind from that as well. There's a lot of things to be said about Pluto, the deep depths and power that you have now for the next 18 years in your third house. But the revolutionary quality lasts until 2035. Please watch the intro. It's this little window of August 29th and November 23rd that we're looking at something new for you. Saturn says, can you access because Saturn rules Pluto, your artistic, creative, inspirational, and muse-inspired energies? Can you access innocence, wonder, and joy? It might be hard work, but you can get there. A lot of power for you if you're involved in anything Neptunian and Saturnian. And this could be about writing screenplays, filmmaking, storytelling, glamour, Hollywood, and power. Like, are you a screenwriter? Are you in the industry? Something good is trying to happen. Partly here, I think that having Uranus in your seventh house can shake up and revolutionize your relationship to your audience, marketplace, or long-term love partner, especially when it comes to how you handle the romantic and sexual energies one way or another. Hidalgo will want you to speak your mind, speak your truth, and be an absolute revolutionary. And because he's in your sign and talking to Pluto, you have the revolutionary, rebellious, freedom to speak your mind energy going through you. And you can speak your mind as clearly as you want to those aunts, cousins, uncles, neighbors, neighborhoods, sibling stories, and break free of whatever patterns of control, victimization, and power over you that you felt were coming from those people. They never really were. You gave them the power. People never have power over us. We give them the power. Even if someone's my jailer, like Viktor Frankl dealt with his jailers, right? He turned it around for himself. How you are experiencing others is your story, not their problem. I don't care how mean they are to you. So there's a turnaround story here as well. Not my evil brother, sister, not my bad neighbor. Turn it around, guys. You are able to speak your mind, but you're also going to be a rebel and a revolutionary around how you approach those old stories. I am going to draw a card for you at this point. I think this is going to be an extremely long video. I'm not sure if they're going to be good for my channel. If you haven't liked my channel before, if you're not subscribed, but you're a regular listener, would you guys subscribe? It does help my algorithm. Me and dozens of channels think we're in the AI slop, right? Because starting in about June, for me and other channels, I've talked to other people, we've had this really intense drop in subscribers. That's not affecting my overall views. But YouTube's not pushing me out to anyone who's not within my field of influence already. So I'm getting all the same old stories. Like you guys, I'm trying to get more of my existing flow of viewers to subscribe rather than strange people who've never met me, meeting me and subscribing. So thanks, YouTube algorithm. What are you doing? All right, so this is the North. We're back to the North. Your card is individuality. That makes sense. Why? Because Hidalgo, the revolutionary, is in the sign of Sagittarius. If it's your Sag moon, individuality in your career. If you're Sag, so moon is your home life, be a rule breaker of your home. Hidalgo, revolutionize your career for Sag sons. Sag rising, revolutionize yourself. There you go. Can you guys see that picture? People meeting around the boardroom table, right? Individuality. Also, Uranus represents also the spirit of individuality. He's in the house of other people. He's in your seventh house. So that's a bit of a challenge because it means other people's unique, eccentric, individual, breaking free through iconoclast energy is being mirrored at you. You see it in others, but you may not be able to claim it yet yourself. I like Hidalgo, the revolutionary, helping you do that. When the shield carrier reaches the top of the mountain, she never seeks approval because approval is based on doubt. Your strength and wisdom are celebrated in your unique ability to view the experience of life with new vision. Power lies in individuality and the ability to see yourself through your own eyes. Yes, not being mirrored by other people always, and not through the eyes of another. It says exactly what I said about Uranus in your seventh. Don't take the reflection of yourself in the eyes of others seriously. Let it go. Look inward. See yourself. See yourself through your own eyes. To be in power, you must be to be in power, which is Pluto. You must own your power and exist within your own individuality, especially given Pluto's in such a house of like siblings, neighbors, cousins, uncles. Everyone's reflecting some version of you back at yourself. Find the version of you that's true because you see you, not other people see you. That's just a thought. You do you. Maybe that makes no sense. I hope it does. If that made any sense to any of you guys, please say so in the comments so I feel a little bit validated on that one. I would appreciate if for any Sagittarius that made a little bit of sense. Tell me about it, please. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, Cappies, here we go. It's a big story. Nothing to complain about. You've got this incredible energy that's going through the sky. And what it's mostly all about, in my humble opinion, it's about the intensity of a once in a lifetime, well, first in a lifetime, it'll continue to 2035 financial reboot. Now, Pluto here already transformed the lives of people who've lived through this narrative, which would have been the Sagittarius folk. And you're going to get a real deep, powerful transform around money, earnings, resources, and possessions between like 2023 and 2044. It's been underway. Now we get this new untethered, unleashed Pluto rebel freedom energy. Because if you have been feeling that something to do with your financial resources, money, earnings, savings has been a power over you, right? Somehow you've been disempowered because of that story, that you have no control over it. That's about to change. That is about to change. And this is going to ask you between now and November 21st to experience some revolutionary shifts. With the Uranian energy in the sixth, it's probably going to give you work opportunities or job opportunities. And with Saturn, Lord of Pluto, in the fourth, connected to changes in your home and where you live. And, I think, I talk a lot about your chironic wound about home that's been here since 2019. This could transform that as well, because financial transformation is giving you freedom and transformation around work and home matters. And you see evidence for that August 29th, right, to November 23rd. You weren't alive during the French Revolution. This out of bounds energy has not yet been experienced by you. You don't know what you're capable of, because the money, earnings, possessions, and resources of the second house of speech come from being aligned with purpose. Why? Because the meaning of the word voice, vocation, calling comes from the same Latin root word. And you're going to hear a call to something. And it could be like a phone call, but it's a deeper call. It's a call to align yourself with purpose, work, money, earnings, resources. Why not? Money can't have power over you. It said the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money is the root of all evil, the love of money. You're going to relate to money, earnings, resources, and wealth in a new way. And you're going to start to learn that lesson between now and 2035. And your first opening gambit, the opening scene, is now. It is August 29th to November 23rd. And I bet some of you are going to get more money, unexpected money, changes of home, exciting new developments with work and job. Probably. Every now and then in the sixth house where Uranus is sitting, there is a debt that's owed. You owe debts, or debts are owed to you. Someone owes you something, monetary or karmic. Massive breakthroughs around financial situations connected to debt. If somebody owes you money in particular, this may come back to you, and you may have evidence for that before Christmas. You want to be a rebel? Be a rebel in the 12th house. You could literally do a Hidalgo here. I'm not going to say that word. I cannot say it. You're going to find that you have real freedom coming through the 12th house, which is spiritual liberation energy. It's also energy to not just liberate from the matrix, and that's your freedom, but it's also connected to distant shores and foreign lands. And given that Pluto's position for this freedom, breaking free, unleashed, untethered, is a money house, some of that may require that money that's coming to you comes from far off people, shores, and distant places. Just a thought, because that's another meaning of the 12th house, right? So you could get some opportunity for some work in a distant land or foreign shore. Likely with the North Node placement, you'll have to travel to be there, but it will serve your excitement and your renewed liberation on the money front. And it may be connected to opportunities from your past. Okay. Shall we go and draw a card for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising? Here we go, Cappies. Holy man, I think this is a 2-hour video. Oh, intuition. Use your intuition. And I'm going to say why I think that's a good card for you. There's a lot of reasons that you can use your intuition in any kind of sky. But one thing about this is that you do have the moon and Hidalgo kind of going through the 12th house by the 30th and flowing to Mercury in the 8th house. And that combination is like I talk to dead people. But given that you've got the activation of houses 12, 4, and 8, it's opening up your eyes of non-ordinary reality, your intuitive perception, and all of that. So I want you to lean into intuition as you go through this next couple of months, this next 86 days, as Pluto is untethered and unbound. I don't see you guys. Do you see me? I lost the screen. That is so weird. I know I'm here. Where am I? Where did it go? Okay, I cannot see my screen. I cannot see you guys. It's like everyone's disappeared on me. I don't know where you went, but I'm not going to give up. I know you're here somewhere. Oh my God. It's like, what the hell? All right, let's take out that picture. Let's see. Apparently I'm still in this meeting with you. I can't find you. Why? It's so weird. So now I've got, there I am. I have this new computer and somehow my whole thing minimized and I wasn't here. So intuition, that was so funny. From the left side of your body comes your female energy. Whether you are a man or a woman, within this femaleness, the feminine consciousness, within it lives your intuition. That's where Venus is, feminine consciousness in Leo in the sky for you. Feel what is true with your body and mind rather than knowing what is true with your mind. Intuition does not have clouds of accumulated knowledge to distort your vision. Intuition simply sees what is the truth. With intuition, you can feel the source of your being without releasing it away and being filled with doubt. Doubt destroys your intuition. Doubt does destroy our intuition, actually. That's why you don't flood the oracle and ask questions again and again. When you get the answer you want, you stop with that one. Your power lies in the balance between the mind and the intuition. So, as I said, all the moksha houses are lit up for you. And so you got that energy of 12, 12, 4, and 8. Use your intuition. Your intuition through the next couple of months, 86 days, will be your superpower. That's what I'm trying to suggest to you. Okay, let's share the screen. Do you guys have a share? I don't think so. There we go. So I'm an Aquarius sun, moon, and rising. Welcome to our story. This is the 29th of August through until November 23rd, first in a lifetime. Pluto out of bounds in the south declination in the sign of Aquarius. And we will not see this again for thousands of years, but it will last until 2035 on and off. And we seem to be the number one target. So especially any of you Aquarius suns, moons, or rising with your ascendant near 1 degree, where it's happening now, right? So 0 to 2 degrees, you're really feeling it. I have 15 degree, 16 degree Aquarius rising. So I get more of this brunt of it, intensity, when we get closer to 2030. 2, 3, and 4. Now, that aside, all Aquarians are feeling the Pluto influence, right? We all know something different. We're all feeling change. We have more authority, power, and dominant control, but we're also looking at our own shadow and going deep about what scares us, what terrifies us, where we feel we might lack a sense of power. This is a story that all Aquariuses are investigating. And so your Aquarius sun is about your career path, and moon is about your home and nest. And Aquarius sun is about dad, and Aquarius moon is about mom. But Aquarius rising is about everything about your life, including the character you inhabit as a simulation avatar. So I would say Pluto and Aquarius folk like me, we've been feeling the Pluto effect since 2023. Now, for the first time, we can be unleashed, unshackled. We can be regenerating, revolutionizing, rebelling, reforming our reality so that we have a new source of untethered power. Certainly we can go to an extreme with this, you know what I mean? We can be really outside the box because Pluto is in a beautiful trine to Uranus, and there, even though he's only there till November the 7th, for a lot of that time, we're going to find ourselves like literally electrified with radical untethered shifts of power connected to creativity, entrepreneurship, romantic love, children. And because Saturn is a lord of the story in the 3rd house, it's really going to power up any Aquarians in a very exciting way who are involved in writing projects, marketing or teaching projects, the online universe, things to do with your neighbors and neighborhood. I don't want to say too much about this yet, but with Jupiter's presence in your 6th house by probably midsummer next year, some of you may have encountered a profound change of home that's going to be quite beautiful for you. And I don't know that you are going to be feeling this the same way other signs do, because it's inside of you. It's inside your soul as your sun, your moon, your mind, body, thinking, feeling complex. And for you Plutonian ascendants, it's your whole character that's got this inside job, you know? Where you feel disempowered is because you disempowered yourself, right? And so you're coming into a new way of experiencing your own authentic empowerment that completely unlocks the victim stance that you may have gotten sucked into since 2023 when Pluto entered here. And I don't think it's too shabby to have the Hidalgo, speaking one's mind in the house of groups, speaking one's mind and being a revolutionary force in the house of groups of belonging, but also profitability in your career. The more you speak your mind and are kind of breaking free of the chains of not speaking your mind in any kind of group setting or public setting, you're going to do very well. The energy here can also have you like look for like a kind of way to revolutionize your career profitability and the way you earn money from a career, because that's what Hidalgo is activating with Pluto. And you may get experiences of that by November the 21st. I kind of get a vibe here that you might want to benefit to some degree, as best you can anyway, from that Venus and Mercury, especially Venus across the way. Because Pluto is in the house of self from the perspective of the ascendant, and the others are in your seventh, there's a transformation, rebellion, renewal, regeneration of how you interact with the following people: the marketplace, audience, clients, and fans, with how you interact with your spouse or long-term committed relationship partner or business partners. And that energy is being activated because Venus is looking at Pluto and she wants to say, I'm here to participate in a general vibe. You know, she's not exactly conjunct or anything or opposite, but she's over on the other side of the story. And I keep saying this, but I'll say it again. There's going to be some kind of untamed, feminine, powerful energy that takes perseverance and time, indicating a change regarding your home and home life, either how you are in the home itself, right, because of Admete here, or a change of home. And this is not here yet. And I don't think it necessarily will be here between August 29th and November 23rd, but it's pending. Something is trying to change here. If I had good advice for you guys, transform your relationship to neighbors, neighborhood, sibling one younger, matters connected to short distance travel, and writing, communicating, marketing, selling, learning, and teaching, because Pluto is really apt to want to activate that part of your chart with the Saturn Neptune part of the story. Okay, so I'm going to pull a card for us and see what we get. We are experiencing this new energy of being a rebel, of being a reformer, of regenerating and renewing and renegading through life, because we have Pluto there, but now untethered. And it's exciting. I'll let you know how it feels to be me. Any other Aquariuses, let me know how you feel being you. Focus. First of all, let me show you the picture. Okay, that looks like a seashell on a water body. Okay. Focus. Why would we get focus? It's white. It's the north. Well, Pluto's in our sign. Like, what can you do with that? Much of what you see in life is an agreement that something is in fact true. To develop power, focus on one aspect of your life. This could be your career, a sport, some endeavor that you have a passion about. Become an expert. In the process of becoming an expert, you fine-tune your whole being. You collect the important parts of yourself and you begin to live the life of a warrior. Rid yourself of attitudes that are not essential to your task. Collect your energy and focus your power on wondrous and magical acts. Wondrous and magical acts. Let the shell of your consciousness rise out of the ocean of your subconscious mind. It's just a matter of focus. Hmm. Well, I mean, we think about the subconscious or the subterranean, it is Pluto, right? Focus. The moon is the mind in Vedic astrology and how we think and feel about the life we're living. And as this thing takes place, like as we move toward the actual, out of bounds energy, the moon shifts right away on the 29th, 30th into Sag. And that's where Hidalgo is. So it's like free your mind. There's a splinter in your mind, it's very matrixy. Free your mind because Hidalgo is also in the house of with the moon, your long range goals and dreams and wishes. And literally, like the 30th and the 31st, there's an attempt to liberate your mind in terms of what you're capable of, in terms of your visions and your goals and your aspirations and wishes for your life. But it requires also to focus your mind as well. I'm going to go with that. That's what I got. We're moving on to the next sign. And that had a very matrixy vibe to me. There's a splinter in your mind, something's wrong. You can't quite put your finger on it. It's been there since you can remember. All right, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Aha. What about a first in a lifetime? Pluto out of bounds on the south declination, last seen during the American and French Revolution. But this time it's happening, yes, August 29th to November 23rd. And by the way, this revolution is in the house of self-undoing. Now, there is a story about this energy. It has to do with Pisces and Aquarius in the natural zodiac, but in essence, also the 12th and 11th house can be conceivably a place of agency and free will. But because we have the self undoing in the 12th house, we can either undo ourselves because we have addictions, bad habits, patterns, saboteur behavior. We unravel. She's come undone. He's come undone. Or so we end up in a hospital, we end up in a prison, we end up in a sane asylum, we end up in isolation. But we can also do self undoing to undo the fake self, to undo the egoic self, to be enlightened, to be breaking free, to free of the ego, to understand who you really are. That's the other way to undo yourself, undo the false self. And Pluto's going to unravel that part of your life. And he will do that until 2044. He's been here since 2023. Look, you got to talk to, someone who went through this, right? Which was all the Aquarius risings. I had multiple enlightenment experiences since 2011, multiple ones where I undid the self. So you're in this course, so that's the highest way you can do that. Otherwise, watch out. You're going to be in rehab. You're going to be in asylums for insane people. You're going to go to prison. You're going to end up in hospitals or something. You don't want to undo yourself that way. Now, this is unbound. I didn't get that. I didn't get Pluto unbound in the south declination this way in Aquarius. You get it. You get the water bearing, pouring healing waters upon you as you are unbinding yourself from self-undoing, liberating yourself from self-sabotage, freeing yourself from being your own worst enemy for the first time in your life between August 29th and November 23rd, although it continues to 2035, as I said in my intro. And you're also liberating yourself from your childhood because Uranus is in the house of childhood, family of origin, mom, dad, and you're going to break free of the shackles of things that you learned or took on or experienced as a child that also contributed to your own self undoing. And this is extremely exciting. It's soul work, guys. Big soul work. With Saturn, the Lord of Pluto, in your second house is going to transform your relationship to money, to self-worth, to your values, to your prosperity, to your financial wellness, to your possessions. For some of you, it can dispossess you and repossess you of a home. It could allow for a massive shift of your perspective regarding money, wealth, and resources. It could help you really, truly create a dream come true on the financial front. But first, you must liberate yourself, untether yourself from your own self, undoing your patterns and habits that are subconscious. This kind of intensity can really move some of you to a far off distant shore or land, maybe before Christmas. Definitely a change of where you're living can happen from this 86-day transit. You think you know where you're living, but I don't think it's going to be where you think it is. Something's changing here. And if you do stay in the home you are, who you are in the home is completely different. You have revolutionized the role you play in the home in which you live. You're a rebel because Hidalgo is in the career house. You want to revolutionize and rebel and change like a freedom fighter, the career expression that you choose in this lifetime. And Hidalgo, even moon up here, August 30th, for example, flowing in a beautiful way to Pluto. I don't know, you guys, it's like maybe you're going to undo your own psychological, psycho-spiritual ruminations about money and career and work. Kaboom, right? Because of this energy here. And Pluto's working on houses 10, 6, and 2 by virtue of his position here. And it's your relationship to work, to service, to material prosperity, to your reputation, to your resources. All the pentacles basically are up and alive here, but with initiative, with new beginnings, with daring, with courage and boldness are all on fire, right, for you. So I think you're going to open up to a new experience financially, but it might be connected to a change of home, a change of work, and all of those all at once. Pluto will continually reinvigorate your 12th house of self-undoing all the way to 2035 out of bounds. But this little window of 86 days speaks to the themes I've already covered. Now, what I'm going to do for Pisces is I'm going to draw a card for you, and let's take a look at what we get. Let's shuffle. And see what Pluto has in store for you. What's your advice from the power deck? Vision. You're the only sign that got yellow. Everyone got white, black, or red. Most of them got white or black, which is north and east. One person got west. I think I got that right. And here we go. Vision. This is the east on the, so everyone else got west. This is east on the medicine wheel. Let me show you the card. Tell me if that doesn't match your enlightenment. Huh? Does that not match the enlightenment, the full moksha liberation where Pluto sits in your 12th house? There is a, like a, I don't know, a Tibetan type, Buddha type guy here sitting in a cityscape. Let's read it for you, shall we? At times you will have less vision and because of that dimness, you will become unbalanced in seeing. You will see everything, every stone, every machine, every tree as being dead rather than alive. As your vision grows, sit still within the city. Begin to see that the stones and the plants and the machines are alive. Even the dead trees have passed through the gateway in the west. Their spirits carry the dreaming shield. Or the configurations of the experience of your life. Begin to see the life within every object. It's enlightenment. I'm alive. It's alive. I'm all of it. Begin to see the life. When I had my first awakening, everything was glowing. Trees were glowing. People were glowing. Everything was glowing. Begin to see see the life within every object, the sacredness in all things, in their energy, their colors, or luminous forms, or shadow beings. Then you will become strong. See power all around you. It is you. When you do, you will have true vision. Because the highest power of the self-undoing is to undo the false self in the 12th house and to liberate yourself from the illusion of a separate self. And in that regard, I wish you the highest of enlightenment. And I would say the vision that you're asked to acquire through that card is quite auspicious, will allow from your Piscean perspective a shift, a profound shift of self-worth, role in the world, what success means to you, what service and work mean to you as well. And of course, on a practical note, unplug from how your family taught you to be, unplug from the way you learned that life should work as a child. There's something new and fresh and very powerful emerging for you now. So that's all we have for you. I did have an outro I was going to do. Darn it, I forgot what it was going to be. I remember I said in the beginning, oh, I've got a really great outro for you guys. Was it about power? Let me think. Goodness gracious, I can't remember what that was going to be about, but I have another topic then. Timeline shifting, reality shifting, the Mandela effect. You know, I've got many stories in my life where reality has changed on a dime, and I've shifted something profound in my life because I've changed you know, in the multiverse, I've stepped over a little bit this way or that way to an alternative timeline. And there's something, I just had a dream about a week ago about how timelines re-intersect every 40 years, right? Which is a Venus cycle, 40 days and 40 nights. It'll be writing about this at Substack. And it came to me in a dream that like every 40 years, if we ever make a major life choice, right? Then 40 years later, we re-intersect the other self that bifurcated on the road less traveled. So 40 years ago, I decided not to go to France and rather go to New York City. I decided to go into a relationship with a man I was only dating, right? And move to Vancouver with him. That led me to go to Manhattan rather than go to France, where I had already paid for my tuition, a down payment at the University of Nice to study French for a year, to be billeted with a family, and to have that experience. Had I done the France trip, I'm sure I'd still be there. I'm sure that I would still be like, I mean, I did do it. So yeah, Lori went to Vancouver and then New York, got married, had 2 kids. The other one went to France. 2 me's, 2 timelines split 40 years ago. It'll be 40 years in 19. It'll be a 40-year bifurcation in 2026. And yet I got in this dream that as we get closer, we begin to merge timelines, we begin to feel the other self. So for example, I moved to Montreal to be with my daughter who is going to a McGill University, and I live in Vancouver. And I did that in 2019. So I'm a mere 7 years away from connecting to the epicenter next summer. I got back in touch with my French language. I spoke it more. I listened to French on the daily. I was surrounded by French culture. My daughter was at a French residence in a university setting in a Francophone culture. I was closer to the overlay between me and my other self. My other self went to France. She developed a love of wine. I can't stop loving wine. I love my wine. And it's because I've been bleeding through the other timeline for a very long time. But as I move towards 2026, I'm moving closer to the veil is thin between Lori and France, who may not have children, may have not gotten married. I think I did get married, but I have a feeling I didn't have kids in that timeline. But her reality and my reality is becoming closer and thinner, and the veil is tightening up or thinning between us. And next summer, because it was in the summer of 1986, I made the decision to move to Vancouver and forfeit my deposit at the University of Nice. As I move closer to next summer, I'm going to really align with that other self. What will that look like? I'll let you know. I've watched other timeline shifts in my life like this already. I won't go into it here, from decisions I made 40 years before, like, you know, this time I'm in now. But I only had this dream recently, so it's a new data set. But why I wanted to bring it up is timeline shifting. We continually can shift timelines between micro shifts, you know, but these big shifts I'm talking about, like the 2 timelines that Lori went through, France or not France, that's connected to a decision. And that's a big decision. It's not like life happened to me. Like my mother died when I was 39. That's not a decision. That's a life turning point. But it didn't come from anything inside of me making a seemingly free will choice to go to France or go to Vancouver and have 2 completely different lives, right? So that's an important thing to understand. It braids back together every 40 years. And in an average lifetime, we only get to see the return once in a life, maybe twice, but who says I'm 2 years old and I made a major decision? So most of us are seeing one of those intersections per major life decisions we make usually in our teens, 20s, or at most 30s. And a friend of mine said, I notice I'm not making as many decisions the older I get, my friend Kim. And I said, you're right. I think I made so many more bold decisions in my teens, 20s, and 30s than I do now, active, conscious decisions. Maybe that's the spirit of youth. Maybe that's a part of us that we lose touch with. I don't know. And I'm bringing it up because the other me in France loves her wine. I know she does. I can't possibly love my wine as much as I do, especially French wine. But I noticed a timeline shift the other day, and I don't know what precipitated. This is not a major choice point. This is not Lori is choosing something. That's not what it is. It's just I must have slipped. I went away to the Yukon. I was with my friend Kim for 3 days. I went hot cold plunging in a wood-fired sauna that she has created in an off-road setting, driving 20 minutes off-road into the woods on a lake, on a river that's ice cold and glacial. And I went into the sauna, I went into the water, I hot plunged all of that. And I was walking with bare feet in the woods. And it was a beautiful afternoon. And then I got back here. That was 2 days ago. And I got home and I thought, oh, you know, she doesn't drink. So I didn't drink when I was with her. And that's great. I had 3 days without any alcohol, but basically, I thought, oh, I'm going to make myself a Negroni. I love Negronis. I drank half the Negroni and tossed the rest out. And then last night I thought I'll make a martini. I took one sip of my martini and tossed it out. That's a timeline shift. I love martinis. I love gin. I love Negronis. It was just going to be like a cocktail at the end of my workday. And I don't like them anymore. They're gone. This girl does not like those drinks. However, she still likes her wine because I tossed out the martini or the Negroni and I had a glass of wine instead, and I was totally fine. So I can tell you that obviously my French self does not like hard alcohol. She only loves her wine, and I must have timeline shifted. Can you share in the comments any stories about, I call them reality shifts? That's what the Mandela effect is about collectively. If you don't know what that is, I'll spend another video outro on that. Google Mandela effect. I'm quite aware of the Mandela effect. It's mind-boggling what you know about it. But ask yourself, have you noticed that for no good reason you change, or people change, or circumstances change? I've got some mind-boggling reality shift stories I'll share with you guys another time, where like even landmarks have changed. Stores are there that didn't used to be there. Buildings are there that didn't used to be there, right? Like I got some stories on that one in my own life. But this one that happened by being away for 3 days, like very Jesus, 3 days and then rose again. It was like something to do with being in nature, something to do with talking about the timeline intersection with my girlfriend, knowing that I'm coming into the epicenter of that next summer where I'm at the intersection point of a major life choice that completely changed who Lori is today. I don't even know that myself in France she would have stayed in France. I don't think she's an astrologer. I think she's a fiction writer. So we'll see where this goes. Okay, maybe I'll take some fiction writing on, and she'll take on some astrology as we come close to each other next summer. Let me know what you think about this concept. Start tracking major life choices, and then know that 40 years later, to like almost the day, perhaps you're going to be right back where you started, and the veil will be almost non-existent between the two lives you have led in parallel from that massive life choice point. Hope that was entertaining. I'll see you in another video. Like, subscribe, come join me in Sky Reader. I'd love to see you there.